In 1971, two brothers with a math degree and an 800-square-foot shop rewrote the rules of bookselling, building an empire that once spanned over 1,200 stores and defined America's reading culture. But behind Borders' rise lay hidden flaws: overexpansion, missed digital revolutions, and a single decision that handed the future to its rivals. How did a company worth $3.2 billion implode almost overnight? And what really happened before the collapse no one saw coming? The answer begins with a vision and ends with a cautionary tale. Tom and Louis Borders opened the doors of their tiny Ann Arbor bookstore in 1971. But from the start, their ambition stretched far beyond the 800 square feet of shelving. Louis, armed with a mathematics degree from the University of Michigan and later MIT, saw the chaos of book inventory not as a burden, but as a problem to solve. Most bookstores at the time relied on intuition and guesswork. Owners stocked what felt right, hoping the right titles would find the right buyers. The Borders brothers had a different approach. They wanted to transform bookselling into an exact science. By 1976, Louis had written a proprietary software program that quietly revolutionized the business. The Book Inventory System, or BIS, did something no other bookstore could match. It tracked sales patterns, predicted demand across dozens of seasonal cycles, and told staff exactly which books to order, in what quantities, and when. This was not just about avoiding empty shelves. BIS meant the Ann Arbor shop could stock the right mix of obscure titles and bestsellers, making it a destination for both casual browsers and serious readers. Sales reps visiting the store noticed immediately Borders always seemed to have what customers wanted, even before they asked. BIS did not stay in Ann Arbor. The brothers began helping other entrepreneurs open Borders-branded stores in cities across the Midwest, supplying them through a central warehouse. Twice a week, shipments left Ann Arbor packed with books chosen by the software's calculations. Independent owners, armed with the Borders system, could suddenly compete with established retailers and national chains. Within a few years, Borders was supplying 14 bookstores and generating more than $30 million in annual sales, a remarkable figure for an operation that had started with a single, cramped storefront. The genius of the Borders approach was its belief in data over hunches. Louis' system could identify 55 distinct seasonal patterns, letting stores anticipate the academic rush in September, the holiday surge in December, even the slow trickle of poetry sales in April. The result was efficiency that bordered on prescience. By the time the second Borders store opened in Birmingham, Michigan in 1985, its sales matched the original Ann Arbor location in just 2 years, a testament to the power of BIS. At its core, Borders was more than a bookstore. It was a laboratory for operational science, run by two brothers who believed that math and software could turn a small-town shop into something much greater. Their methods would shape not just the company's future, but the entire culture of American bookselling. Kmart's acquisition of Borders in 1992 brought a surge of capital and corporate muscle that changed everything about the company's ambitions. No longer limited by the constraints of independent management or modest infrastructure, Borders now had the resources to think bigger, much bigger. The strategy shifted from supporting small, efficient stores to building massive, immersive retail spaces designed to be destinations in themselves. In 1994, Borders unveiled its new flagship store in Ann Arbor, a sprawling 28,000-square-foot showpiece housed in the former Jacobson's department store. This was more than just a bookstore. It was a literary playground with wide aisles, comfortable seating, and an in-store cafe that invited customers to linger for hours. Author readings and community events became regular fixtures, transforming the store into a magnet for students, families, and book lovers across the region. Kmart's backing fueled a rapid rollout of these superstores nationwide. Borders invested heavily in modernizing its operations, installing advanced point-of-sale systems and formalizing employee training. The company's headquarters, now consolidated in Ann Arbor, coordinated a supply chain that could keep hundreds of stores stocked with the right mix of titles, music, and gifts. By the late 1990s, Borders was opening new locations at a breakneck pace. Between January 1998 and January 1999 alone, the chain added 52 superstores, a 25% jump in footprint in a single year. At its peak, the company operated 256 superstores, each averaging $256 in sales per square foot. Real estate developers courted Borders for prime locations, eager to anchor shopping centers with a brand that promised steady foot traffic and cultural cachet. Inside, the stores buzzed with activity. The Borders experience was designed to feel expansive and welcoming, a place where customers could browse for hours without pressure to buy. The stores offered not only books, but also music, magazines, and gifts, all carefully curated to match local tastes. For many, a trip to Borders became a weekend ritual, a chance to discover new releases, sip coffee, and soak in the atmosphere of endless possibility. The company's rapid growth and cultural popularity made it a darling of Wall Street, with stock prices soaring and investor confidence at an all-time high. Yet beneath the surface, every new superstore brought with it long-term lease obligations and escalating fixed costs. The gamble was clear. As long as customers kept coming, the model worked. For a time, Borders' superstore surge seemed unstoppable, capturing the spirit of a decade when bookselling became an experience, not just a transaction. In August 2001, Borders signed away its digital future. The company entered a contract with Amazon that made the upstart online retailer the exclusive operator of Borders.com. Amazon would manage everything: inventory, fulfillment, customer service, and the entire online shopping experience. Borders handed over its brand to a competitor that was already outpacing every other bookseller on the web. The logic seemed sound at the time. Borders' online business was bleeding money, posting $27 million in sales, but still losing millions each year. Greg Yosefovitz had taken the helm as CEO in 1999, and he faced mounting pressure to stop the losses. Rather than invest in building a rival online platform, Borders chose to let Amazon handle the heavy lifting. But the decision came with an invisible price. Every Borders customer who wanted to shop online was quietly redirected to Amazon.com. Borders' own website became a co-branded shell, with Amazon's technology and inventory powering each transaction. In effect, Borders sent its loyal readers and their data right into the arms of its fiercest competitor. Amazon gained insight into Borders' customer base, while Borders lost access to the very people it needed to understand most. The company no longer controlled the digital relationship or the chance to shape the habits of a new generation of book buyers. The timing could not have been worse. By 2001, Amazon was already the dominant force in online bookselling, with $1.7 billion in sales in its books, movies, and video group. Borders' own online division was a financial drag, but outsourcing did not solve the underlying problem. It simply made Borders irrelevant in the fastest-growing segment of the industry. While Barnes & Noble invested in its own online store, Borders became a digital tenant in Amazon's house. The deal meant to buy time, instead, traded away the company's last chance to compete in the space that would soon define the future of bookselling. Borders executives, searching for new ways to keep stores busy and revenue flowing, turned to the promise of physical media. CDs, DVDs, and an ever-widening array of gifts began to take over shelves that once held books. By 1998, non-book merchandise already made up nearly a third of Borders' total sales. The company doubled down, devoting up to half the floor space in some stores to music, movies, and novelty items by the early 2000s. In 1999, the largest Ann Arbor superstore featured more than 40% of its space dedicated to CDs, DVDs, and gifts, a bold bet on entertainment as a growth engine. But the timing could not have been worse. The iTunes Store launched in 2003, and digital downloads quickly began to eat away at CDs sales. DVD sales peaked in 2004, and then plateaued as Netflix and streaming services started to attract attention. From 2001 to 2006, CDs sales dropped by 25% nationwide. By 2006, the decline was unmistakable, yet Borders continued to fill stores with racks of physical discs and glossy gift lines. Even as sales of CDs fell from $1.3 billion to $900 million, Borders kept expanding its inventory, hoping that the short-term boost would outweigh the looming digital threat. Industry analysts at the time warned that leaning into physical media was a dangerous distraction. While digital alternatives were gaining ground, Borders' leadership clung to the idea that customers would keep coming in for tangible goods. For a few years, the strategy worked. Revenue from non-book merchandise kept the numbers up, masking deeper problems beneath the surface. But every CD and DVD that sat unsold on the shelf was a reminder of how quickly consumer habits were changing. The company's push into physical media, meant to diversify and stabilize, instead locked Borders into a shrinking market. The pursuit of quick wins with CDs, DVDs, and gifts bought time, but it also pulled focus and resources away from the core business of books, just as the digital wave was about to break. Amazon's Kindle arrived in November 2007, and with it, the ground began to shift beneath Borders' feet. The device wasn't just a gadget, it was an entirely new way to buy, store, and read books. Customers could download titles in seconds, bypassing stores altogether. In the months after Kindle's debut, Borders' stock price tumbled to $12.28, its lowest point in 6 years. Investors and analysts watched as ebooks raced ahead, leaving Borders anchored to a business model built for a different era. Inside the company, leadership grew restless. Greg Josefovich, who had overseen Borders since 1999 and made the call to outsource online sales to Amazon, resigned in August 2008 after a string of quarterly losses. George Jones stepped in, but his tenure lasted only until January 2009. Then came Ron Marshall, a turnaround specialist, who was out by May 2010. In just 2 years, Borders cycled through 3 CEOs, each promising a new direction, but delivering little stability. The board turned to Bennett LeBeau, an activist investor with no background in bookselling, who took over as CEO in June 2010. The revolving door at the top sent mixed messages to employees and shareholders alike, and the company's strategy shifted with every change in leadership. While Amazon and Barnes & Noble poured resources into digital reading, Borders arrived late to the party. In July 2010, the company launched its ebook store and began selling the Kobo e-reader through its stores and website. The partnership offered no proprietary device, no exclusive content, and little brand recognition. By then, Kindle and Nook had already divided up most of the market. Borders set an ambitious goal of capturing 17% of ebook sales within a year, but the target proved out of reach. The Kobo rollout was met with tepid sales, and the digital platform failed to gain traction. With each missed opportunity, Borders' window to compete in the new world of bookselling narrowed. The company now faced a digital revolution with outdated tools and fractured leadership as the industry moved on without it. Borders' empire stretched across more than 1,200 stores worldwide by 2003, but each new location came with a hidden constraint: ironclad real estate commitments. Most leases locked Borders into 15 to 20-year terms, often at premium rents. These agreements made sense in the late 1990s, when foot traffic was steady and expansion felt like destiny. But as the retail landscape shifted, Borders found itself trapped. Even as sales slowed and entire categories such as CDS and DVDS lost value, the company could not simply walk away. Every underperforming store meant years of rent still owed, regardless of sales. The company's international ambitions added more weight. Borders' foray into the UK and Asia brought a web of overseas leases and operational costs that proved impossible to unwind quickly. In 2004, Borders acquired Paperchase, a British stationery chain, to diversify revenue. Instead, it further entangled Borders in long-term obligations abroad. When financial pressure mounted, Borders sold Paperchase in July 2010 for $31 million, a fraction of what it needed to cover mounting debts. With so much capital locked up in fixed costs, Borders had no room to maneuver. Downsizing was not just difficult, it was structurally impossible. As consumer habits changed and recession loomed, Borders' balance sheet was frozen in place, unable to adapt to the world outside its store walls. In late 2008, the financial crisis swept across the retail sector, and Borders was caught without a safety net. Book sales, already under pressure from digital competition, dropped sharply as consumers pulled back on discretionary spending. The company's cash reserves dwindled, and access to new credit dried up. By early 2011, the situation reached a breaking point. On January 6th, a University of Michigan expert publicly warned that bankruptcy or a forced sale was now likely. The warning proved prescient. Within days, major publishers and distributors, once reliable partners, stopped shipping new titles to Borders stores. They demanded payment up front, refusing to extend further credit to a company teetering on the brink. Shelves began to empty, and customers found entire sections devoid of new releases. The supply chain that had once powered Borders' growth now ground to a halt. On January 12th, Borders announced the closure of its Tennessee distribution center, cutting 300 jobs and severing a key logistical artery. The company, unable to restock stores or negotiate new terms, faced a cash crisis with no exit. The vendor revolt accelerated Borders' decline, turning a slow-motion unraveling into a full-scale collapse. The countdown to liquidation had begun. Borders filed for bankruptcy in early 2011, setting off a chain reaction that would ripple through the lives of 10,700 employees. For many, Borders had been more than a paycheck. It was a second home, a place where years and sometimes decades of service were measured in favorite authors, late-night shelving, and friendships forged in the aisles. As news of the liquidation spread, longtime staff gathered in break rooms and behind counters, trading stories and bracing themselves for the end. Some had started with the company in its earliest days, watching it grow from a Midwest secret to a national landmark. Now they faced the prospect of packing up their lives along with the unsold books. Goodbye sales began quietly, then swelled into a public spectacle. Shoppers lined up for bargains, rifling through discounted stacks as handwritten signs announced the final days. Each sale chipped away at the inventory, but also at the spirit of the place. Employees rang up purchases with practiced hands, but every transaction felt like a small farewell. In cities across the country, store managers gave tearful speeches on closing day, thanking teams who had weathered holiday rushes and midnight launches, only to watch the lights go out for good. The loss was more than economic. Borders had been a gathering spot, a place where book lovers found community and purpose. When the last registers shut down, it wasn't just a business that disappeared. It was a piece of cultural memory scattered among the thousands suddenly searching for work and the millions who had once called its aisles their own. Today, physical bookstores face the same digital pressures that Borders failed to navigate. Amazon now claims over 50% of United States book sales, reshaping how we discover and value stories. In an era where convenience and technology dominate, the lesson is clear: adaptation is survival. The next chapter of reading culture depends on who learns from history and who gets left behind. Share your thoughts below.